Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz Interview Series with legendary jazz saxophonist Bobby Watson on the 2022 CD Back Home in Kansas City and upcoming live shows. His retirement in 2020 coincided with the pandemic, where he found himself with plenty of time to reflect on Kansas City's importance and his distinctive sound. This project comes from the rich jazz heritage of his Kansas City hometown, featuring a all-star quintet. He gets into all of this in his upcoming January 15th, 2023, 7 p.m. Winterlude concert on the campus of Johnson County Community College at the Midwest Trust Center. We get into so much in this interview. Dig his insight and wisdom. Enjoy.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah.
I absolutely love the brand new album, and
thank you.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful tribute to Kansas City, and I'm curious about how you put this album together and how it feels, kind of now that we're coming out of this pandemic and things are opening up.
Well, the title Back Home in Kansas City, it's more of a kind of a philosophy. I mean, being back home gave me a chance to slow down. It's like coming off the road, getting a chance to slow down, do some inner reflections, and then the pandemic on top of that, and then retiring, 20 years at UMKC, and the whole lifestyle out here gave me a chance to slow down and reflect on my sound, what I want to play, how I want to play it.
So the one thing, too, that I noticed, this lineup with Jeremy Pelt, Cyrus Chestnut, Curtis Lundy, and Carmen Lundy, what a wonderful lineup. There's such a good, tight, rich sound. Talk to me about what it was like to get all of them in a room to make this special album.
Yes, and don't forget Victor Jones on drums.
There were so many on there, I lost track.
Well, Carmen and Curtis and I, we go back to the University of Miami, in the mid-'70s. I was going to school down there. That's where I met them, and that was like, started our relationship. We had a band together called Nimbus, and that was the first time I started working 6 nights a week, and that was very important to my development because, I've been practicing up until that point, a lot every day, as young people do, and I grew a lot during that period, and sort of a reunion. I mean, we've been close with Carmen and Curtis, even his brothers and his mother, God rest her soul. So it was like that part of it was very special to have Carmen sing on Our Love Remains. And then Cyrus, I've known him since he was with Betty Carter, and we've done a few things together over the years and watched each other grow and evolve. And of course, Curtis, as I said, we met down at University of Miami, and we've been together almost 50 years now. And then Victor Jones, he was another one that's been on the scene, played with Stan Getz and Lou Donaldson and Larry Young and all kinds of folks. And it was a great, we've been having a mutual admiration society for years. And bring him in, because he's from that generation I am. We were around the giants, Curtis and I, Carmen, with Mary Lou Williams, and she was around. We were all around those giants when they were still alive, And so we have that connection, and Cyrus as well, and they helped raise us. And so it was a beautiful thing. Jeremy was someone who I've gotten to know over the years and done a few things together with him. He's a great trumpet player, and he's got this series out, books that he's putting out, of interviews with different musicians. The title's Griot, and he's got about volume 3, so he interviewed me for one of the volumes. I think he's going to have volume 4 and 5. I mean, he's got already over 90 interviews that he's trying to get put out, you know. He's a very scholarly cat, too, you know, and very interested in preserving the history and legacy from the musician standpoint, you know.
Yeah.
So it was a really warm feeling at the date, and Smoke Sessions records with Paul Stash and Damon Smith. They've been really cool with me. This is my 3rd record with them, and it's just been wonderful. I'm so thankful for them keeping me out there, and all the records have done really well. And you know, they're independent label, but they have the club attached to their label, and it's wonderful. I'll be going back up there in March to play at the club again. And before we did the record, we did a couple nights in the club, and then went into the studio. So it's a nice little arrangement that he has up there in New York, you know.
You know, from the outside looking in, when I heard this album come out, I'm thinking, you know, you retired at the end of 20 years, a wonderful, stellar 20 years of really putting wonderful cats out, not only into Kansas City, but into the world. And, you know, we go through this pandemic right at that point, and now we're coming out of it. The world's opening up, and you have this album packed home in Kansas City. It just seems like a perfect timing, a perfect melding. This is the moment for an album with the title Kansas City to come out from Bobby Watson.
Yeah. I mean, we were, I'm searching for a title. The title cut is Back Home in Kansas City, which is a play on the song Back Home in Indiana, which Bird wrote called Donna Lee. So it's like a kind of thing like that, you know. It references Donna Lee. You can kind of hear a little Donna Lee in the melody, but it's got some twists and turns in it, you know. And I was able to have Kevin Wilmot do the liner notes. He's at KU. The director, I think he won an Oscar, and also Diallo French, who did the cover shots and stuff. He's from Kansas City, so it was just like a kind of a thing, like back home in Kansas City. This is what I've got by being able to slow down, get a nice little house. I have a backyard, got a little dog I can walk, you know, and just, you know, because like I was listening to an interview of one of the NBA players, and he was talking about it too. When he retired from the NBA, it took him a minute to slow down, you know, because when you're on the road, you get this rhythm going and this momentum and this energy, because you're going one city to the next, you know. And I've been doing that, since 1977, just going out traveling, you know, packing, unpacking, not unpacking when you get home because you got to go out, so doing laundry, et cetera, just being on the road, and you get into that groove, and that becomes like the norm. But then all of a sudden, coming back home to Kansas City, I had a chance to slow down and kind of smell the roses a little bit, and enjoy some of the things that I worked so hard for, being at the university, being able to have health care and a steady paycheck and being able to be more selective over the last 20 years with my performances, which allowed me not to have to take everything. Because when I was in New York, I was taking everything. My calendar would be full. You know, I was at an apex, critical mass. I mean, you know, I could work every day of the year if I wanted to. But it was like coming back here, kind of stepping away, you know, so they can, like, you kind of have to disappear so you can reappear, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing, and become more selective and just sort of enjoy being home and being a pillar of the community as well. You know, knowing the mayor, you know, the past several mayors, starting with Cleaver and up through Sly James, and now the current mayor, and knowing judges and congressmen, and you know, just sort of being a spokesman for this town in terms of the music. You know, when you're in New York, you're part of a community. You know, you're one of the cats. You know, so it's like a village. But here, I come back and it's a community of musicians here, but my position is a little different. You know what I mean? Because I get called on to do public speaking, do lectures, talks on things here concerning the music, and done things at the Kaufman Center, with the Kansas City Symphony, with the Kansas City Ballet. It's just, you know, it's just been different. The theater, you know, here, writing music for theater. And it's just opened up other opportunities here, being back home in Kansas City. And I think it's kind of a reflection of that in my playing, in order to be able to relax and play, because Kansas City has a very educated jazz audience here, very knowledgeable. So you meet people who knew Bird, you know, Aladdin, different people here, Lucky, all kind of cats here that, you know, were here during that time. There's a lot of history down there on 18th and Vine. And, you know, so it's been really cool, you know, to kind of breathe, you know, hear the trains.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and you got a show coming up here in January, the Winterlude at Johnson County Community College, January 15th. What's that going to be like? Are you looking forward to that?
Yes, I am. Because all three of the guys, Roger Wilder, Jeff Harshbarger, and Mike Warren, I've done many gigs over the last 20 years with those guys, and so they know my music. I'm going to try to do some stuff from the album Check Cashing Day, and as well as some of other well-known songs from my songbook, you know, and really looking forward to that. You know, that's another thing, being back here. I've been able to I got a band that I can call on, and we don't have to rehearse. They got my music already, had it for years, and we just get together and make it happen.
Absolutely. Well, this show and the album is all a testament to everything coming back to life. From your perspective of looking at Kansas City and even abroad, how do you see everything coming back? Now that COVID's slowed down, people are getting back out. Are you happy with the way that you see that jazz is coming back and the world's waking up?
Yes, extremely. You know, because when I retired in 2020, that was the centennial of Charlie Parker. And so I had all kind of gigs lined up, you know, 100 years, Charlie Parker, alto. I play alto. I'm from Kansas City. I live in Kansas City. it was like a perfect storm. So I had all these different gigs, and we had done a record with Vincent Herring called Bird at 100 with Gary Bartz and myself on Smoke, and we were all set to go, you know, and the stuff we were coming off the centennial of Art Blakey, so we had some of that stuff to finish as well, and it just all went boom, boom, boom like dominoes. It just all went away. So, you know, it's so good to have things coming back and being able to travel again. With the vaccines, people are buying into all that stuff and still being conscious with their mask, most people. And that year was like 9/11, man. The world changed. So to 2020, the world changed. So we're coming back with a new sensibility and a new consciousness now. And I think it's going to be good. It's been going good for me so far.
Well, and the one thing I noticed, there's a new lounge that's opened up, the Uptown Lounge. It just seems like of all of the cities here in the country, Kansas City keeps on keeping on. The clubs stayed open. More clubs are opening up. It seems like there's a strength and vitality. Cats are coming into Kansas City. There's just such a good crop. There's a good vibe going on here.
Oh, yes. I mean, so many of our students that went on UMKC from different cities in Missouri and around the country, they've come here and they've made this their home because there's a lot of good music and opportunities for young folks, and the older cats here have embraced them. And like Lonnie McFadden, with his club that opened, I think he's got two of my students in his band, Jack Beeson and Andrew Olette. You know, they went to UMKC. So it's beautiful to see how everything is evolving. And Kansas City, you know, the Paris of the Plains, man. You know, this is the jazz city, man. Jazz and blues, you know.
Absolutely. Bobby, it's always great to catch up. Thank you for opening up about the album. Have a wonderful holiday and a wonderful 2023, sir. I appreciate it.
Oh, you as well, Joe. Thank you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in Kansas City and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Bobby for his brilliance, his time, and making Kansas City such a cool joint to live in. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.